you didn't get all that.
Yeah. Well, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to see you.
Yeah, I'm very, very glad. I see there were back and forth several times, and I hope you're feeling better now.
Yeah. I ended up just taking today off and sending my assistant to the place I was supposed to go, so that worked.
Yeah.
It's a pretty crazy schedule.
Yeah. Well, I see. Also, my sense was stuff is going on because you got sick, and then
Did I get sick?
I got sick first, and then you
got sick.
and then you got sick, or you said under the weather. I don't know whether that was sick or whether that was just.
Boy, I don't even remember.
Yeah.
I really don't remember.
Yeah, because usually, like this package is usually it's very focused one after the other, and with you, there's like
long spaces.
Long spaces and a process going on, and it's all good. It all goes, it all goes to a good place.
Yeah.
But no buts. And I could just sense meaty.
It's intense, that's for sure. Whew.
So I'd like to hear from you. I mean, thank you for sending the pre-session, because that was helpful for me to over. And I want to spend the maximum time today working and using that as the fodder, really to break through, unpop the cork to help you get to your next level.
All right, that sounds good.
Yeah. So how did you, the last time we were in contact, I sent you a response to your reply with how you were working with the source spot and some templates to work with the sonic application. And I'm wondering where are you with that and what has transpired? Because that will help me then too.
I might be confused because what I feel like, I don't feel like I got, and maybe I didn't see it, but what did you send me?
I sent you 3 templates.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yes. It's been so long and I didn't, shoot. I took notes. Let me get them out. It probably sounds like I haven't been doing what you've asked me to do, but I did it really intensely for the first few weeks, and then I started this meditation class. So I've been listening to the, what do you call it? The sonic meditation or the sonic?
Yeah, the sonic application.
Yeah, I've been listening to that a lot.
And what's been, I'm curious what's happening with you with that.
While I listen to it, or just the whole thing?
The whole thing.
Sorry. The whole thing.
What happens afterwards? Because in this, with this approach, it's actually in the silence after the sound that there's a lot of stuff that happens, and it's really just very deceptively simple. If you look at it from a cognitive perspective, it doesn't look like anything, and could so easily go, what the fuck is this? This is, nothing. Even with the source spot. Oh, I connect with, oh yeah, this is just, because on the surface, it could look like that, and it's anything but that. So I'm really curious what is, and there's no right or wrong here. Wherever you're at is exactly right.
I am, um, I wrote about my friend Jeremy. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
my consciousness has been like, I'd say 70% focused on him. Um, and what I'm coming to, and as I'm looking, at the pages that I wrote after listening, it really ties into that, in that, I'm mixed up in the VA. So I've got, all the programming that I do at the VA, which is, um, you know, lots of art forms, probably about 20 ongoing groups, whether they're visual art or um, music or whatever. And so in working with him, I've kind of gotten the backside of the VA, and his struggle is that they're not hearing him. They don't hear him, and all their highfalutin degrees and, all their knowledge and learning and certificates, and they can't. It's like what's happening inside of me while I'm working with him is this finding, I'm struggling every day to just pull up what's going to help him. And then I realize I can't really help him. All I can do is be there. And so my meditations after the writing after the meditation, is finding, like tapping into the priestess part of me, which I think is what I'm looking for. And I don't know why that word, I don't know why the word priestess, but it comes up multiple times in lots of different ways in my process. And so it's like I've never followed the straight path ever in my whole life. I have more than enough units to have added up to a degree and graduated and,
Mm-hmm.
but I just never settled on anything. It just took a bunch of stuff, and then I traveled, and then I've hitchhiked. Most of my life has been this spiritual process, and now I'm working this job where I'm doing like serious social work without the training and without the rigid boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really, huh?
Go ahead, finish, and then
So it's a really intense. I don't want the boundaries. I mean, if this veteran, this combat warrior that I'm working with, it's like he's so special. I mean, everybody that meets him goes, "Oh my God, there's something about that guy." And it's like if I can help him find his way to himself through this just terrific stuff that he's been through and all the shame and all of that, then there's something about it that I feel like I'm going to find myself. And it's not a romantic thing at all in any way. It's like I'm holding his heart. He said that the other night. He said, "You are holding my heart while my brain tries to kill me." And this is after 2 months of like just every day, just on the front line. We're on the front line. So he ended up signing off last night. So it was like this morning.
What do you mean signing off?
Well, he sent me a note that basically said, you need to take a break from me. This has got to be really hard. And what he's doing is they've got him on Suboxone, and he doesn't want to be on Suboxone, and he can't get them to let him come off of it. So in his mind, he's still in active addiction.
So does that mean signing off that he's going to kill himself?
I have no idea.
Oh, mm-hmm.
So his plan was to make it through Friday and then get himself checked into the psych ward at the VA where he can detox. And I don't know what the in-between is going to be or look like. So, yeah, he could end up dead. But he could also end up getting exactly what he needs to have happen, which is to get locked up in the psych ward and detox off of the medication that the VA gave him,
Mm-hmm.
an opioid. So, yeah, so this morning it was like, okay, and I let him go because there's nothing I can do. And it feels like he needed to float this one on his own, knowing that I'm still here. You know, like he's gotta find it in himself. So I spent probably 3 hours just in the tomb this morning. And yeah, I'm still in it, obviously, but have I told you about the tomb?
No.
Do you want me to? Or do you have something you want to say?
No, why don't you tell me that, and then, yeah.
I might have mentioned it when I was in my 20s, when I first got together with my husband. I had a friend, dear spiritual warrior sister, who was a channel, and she would do these channels, but she was a massage therapist, and so this was not a standard channel, but she was doing some body work on me, and in the middle of the body work, I found myself like a different lifetime. So I was a young healer, herbs, and I saw myself kind of going through the forest with the light coming down and a big hat, and it was just this beautiful scene, and I was picking herbs, and I got turned in. So this is like medieval time. I ended up getting thrown in a dungeon and having my hands crushed, and it was really powerful. It was like past life flashback. I mean, that's the only way I can describe it. And so that image has stayed with me all the way through my life. And like the next time it came, I had lost a baby at 20 weeks, so miscarriage.
Mm-hmm.
And in that grieving process, I'm in this dungeon, and the cross, Jesus on the cross, like appears in the dungeon. And there he is on the cross, and I'm looking at him, and it was like, why wasn't my love and light enough to save me? Why did this happen? And just constant going through it. So anyway, over the course of time, in different real crisis times in my life, like the next thing was breast cancer, and I realized that I had been praying to this punishing father God all my life. And that in that crisis, Jesus came down off the cross in the dungeon, which feels to me like a tomb/womb. And I merged with Mother Earth, and Jesus just held me, right? Just held me while I went through the whole breast cancer thing. So this morning I found myself in the tomb, and it's as if this morning it was as if the Mother God and the Father God were merged. So there I am in the dungeon being held by the one divinity. And it was like, and I've done this before, and it felt like my work in the world was like just letting myself feel all of it, everything, like the whole, like just all, taking on all the sorrows of the world and just letting them run through. And I used the magnetic center of the earth to let it just go all the way through me, so I didn't hold any of it, but I really used that exercise, or that just awareness of it just going through and into the earth.
Kristen, where do you feel it right now in your body? Where, like, place your finger without thinking about it, just the first place.
Heart.
Heart, okay. Go to your heart and just feel it for a moment without going into it and without wanting to change it, and raise a finger or something so I'll know, because I'm seeing the upper part of your body. Like, like a bullseye, wherever you're feeling that in your heart, like really bullseye it.
It's kind of at the back as well.
Mm-hmm. Like can you find the epicenter of it?
Yeah, it's right about there.
Okay, so really focus on the epicenter for a moment. You can close your eyes if you want.
Okay.
Okay, and then bullseye that bullseye.
All right.
Okay, and then inside of that bullseye, like laser beam it. So you like bullseyed the laser beam inside of the bullseye. Let me know when you have that.
Okay.
Okay, now leave that for a moment. Go down to the center of the earth and open up the cover there. Let me know when you've done that.
All right.
And go to your sore spot, or your tailbone, to that area. Open up the cover there.
Okay.
Go back down to the center of the earth. Open up there.
Okay.
Open it up some more. And some more. Like there's no limit. Just keep opening that up. Great. Now come up to your sore spot, open that up. And open that up some more. And that up some more. That up some more. That up some more. And then go back down once more to the center of the earth. And open that up.
Okay.
Okay, now go back to the heart, where you were feeling the. See how it is now. Is it more open? Is it more shut? Is it more constricted? Is it more flowing? Gone? Just notice.
Less tearful.
Less tearful. Okay. And what's the next level in there? You said less, so there's still some there.
Yeah.
Okay. Tearful, is that grief?
Sorrow.
Sorrow. Okay. So can you feel that the energetic of the sorrow?
Yes.
Okay. So bullseye that sorrow without wanting to change it. Just let it be there, Kristen. But, without needing to go into it, but just let it be. and focus the center of it, and then bullseye that.
Yeah.
Now go to the center of the earth, open up there.
Open.
Source spot and open.
Yeah.
Open some more.
It's
Okay,
a
now,
clear check.
yeah. It's clear. Is that gone, the grief? Okay, so
Yeah.
now feel the clarity there. Bullseye that. And now go down to the center of the earth and open up there. Without wanting to change the good, just allow that to be there, but open up down at the bottom. And now come up to the source spot, open up there. And more, and more, and more. Back down to the center of the earth, open up there. Now open them up both together, down at the center of the earth and at the source spot. Now come back up to your heart, see how it is now. Same, more open, something else came up underneath. What?
It's open.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a tree.
Now see if you open your eyes, because this is a very practical thing to use when you're wherever you are. So now, can you feel that openness there?
Yes.
Okay, so bullseye that with your eyes open, but inside, bullseye that. Okay, now go to the center of the earth, open up there. And now at your source spot, open up there. And more. And more. And more. I'm doing it along with you. So fun. Now, see, I'm speaking now and I'm doing the same thing. All right, well, now I feel in my heart, I feel some more constriction coming up. No worries, I'm talking, but my focus is inside. I'm, there I'm like bullseye, follow along with me as I'm speaking. I'm doing it. All right,
Yep.
so I'm
Yep.
focusing in the center of that. Then I'm going I don't know, here now I'm going to the source spot. There's no right or wrong. I tend to go, yeah, so opening that up. It's like the air I breathe. Down to the center of the earth and more. Yeah. And more and more and more and more and more and more and more. What are you feeling now? And as you speak, practice.
Doing it while you speak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If you can, I think you can. You're conscious. I mean, you know, you're so used to operating in this way. I think that you can do it.
I do. I can feel it. It's open. Down at the center of the earth, it's open. More and more and more.
Now imagine that your mouth is down there, Kristen, and you're speaking from that place.
All right.
Because from that place, when you talk about priestess, you know, that's feminine energy there at the center of the earth. You know that. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. I'm just reminding you of what you already know.
Right. And where it lives.
Yeah.
Got it. Where the connection is.
And listen from that place. So nobody else is going to hear you. Nobody else is going to hear him. You know, how are you listening to you?
In general?
Well, I'm reflecting on, I'm reflecting from what I heard from you and, you know, what I read and you know, how you look. It's so great that we are recording because there is such a difference in, like, watch, where are we into the recording? I don't know, probably like 20 minutes in or half hour in, and look, because how you look from what you just did is totally different from how you came in, you know, in the dungeon on your deathbed, you on your deathbed.
Yeah.
The cool thing is that's only there's an ancient wise one, Hillel, ancient Hebrew wise one. And, you know, skeptics, and I know there are no skeptics today. I know I have no skepticism in me. I don't know about you, but, you know, so the wise one said to Hillel, the wise one, if you're so wise, then, you know, like, stand on one foot, you know, in your pose, and tell me, while I'm standing on one foot, like, what is the answer to it all? Like, what's the point? You know, like, what's the answer? And he goes, there's no problems. He goes, Im ein anili mili, ve'im ani rak la'atzmi, ma ani. ואם לא עכשיו, כאן ועכשיו, אין מתי. He goes, if I am not for myself, who am I? If I'm only for myself, what am I? If not now, in this moment, when?
All there is. Were you just speaking in
Hebrew.
a different language?
In Hebrew. Yeah.
And what was that?
Just what I said. I translated afterwards.
Okay. Okay.
Yet in the Hebrew is a spiritual language, and it's it's feminine, divine. It's written from right to left. It's, you know, the first languages were when we were still operating in feminine worldview. And each letter has a property, has a sound property, has a healing property. Each letter actually has a value to it. And then it's based on 3-letter roots, and how you conjugate those roots determine the inner essence, like the sod, the secret of it, the healing power of it. And then if you want to know the inner meaning of something, or the opposite, you turn it around and you'll get the hidden mystical meaning. So,
cool.
yeah, it's really, so I want to show you something. If this is actually a non-regular, because there are only 2 letters here. Well, let's do this. Hold on. I'll look at something. Something's coming through right now. Just a sec. Okay. If you look, can you see that? That's Taf Vav, Taf Vav Pei. Going this way. Going from right to left. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the Taf is the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It means like everything from A, you know, like you say, from A to Z, right?
Right.
And the completion. But the letter actually means note, as in musical note.
Huh.
The Vav, the second letter, is the 6th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it is masculine in its energy. And it means and.
And. Huh.
And the letter is Vav, and it looks kind of like this when it's written. Vav means hook. What's and? It's a hook. Something
Right.
and something. The last letter is Pe. Now it looks different. This is the actual letter. See that?
Yep.
Pe means mouth. All right. So if you put Tov, this Taf Vav Pe, that's the word for drum.
Or drum?
Mm-hmm. Actually, we have it in English when we say to tap. That's from Hebrew, Tov, because the Pe, when the letter is at the end, it's has a sound of instead of P. It could be a P or F.
Right.
All right. Now it's a feminine property. Look, notice how a Pe, right, comes outside.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Now, if we turn it around, hold on, this will be easier. You know, these drums, this, you know, frame drums, they're the oldest drum known to mankind. They're the first ones. They date back to 10,000 years. You see in central Turkey, and you know the biblical story. You know, we call this Miriam's drum. This is tambourine. This is like what's written in the Bible is, this is Tov Miriam, not this. This is a Roman invention because in the drums were separate and the cymbals were separate. And then the Romans brought this in. They put them together. That's, much later. So if you turn Tov around, you get pot, like pot. Pot.
Yeah.
Pot means vulva.
Did you say vulva?
Vulva, like in vagina, vulva.
Vulva.
And it's no wonder that when you see, hold on, let's see if I can find one. Let's see if I can find statuettes. It's so fun because I can share the screen. It's just so great. Hold on just a sec. How do I get share? Great. Can you see the screen? Can you see the pictures?
Pinch out for a bigger view. Yes.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me open this also with, open with.
That's amazing.
Hold on. See that?
Yep.
There are thousands of these found in Galilee by many in home chapels, like birthing chambers, and then we see in hieroglyphics in the ancient Egypt, going from birthing chambers and to funeral chambers, to whatever the other word is for, the burial chambers.
Right.
In ancient times, the use of sound, and look at see the Tov? See it? Same thing.
Yep.
And what does this have to do with you and what you've been going through? Well, if you approach yourself, let's see if there's any, if you approach yourself as the instrument, like there are groups of them. This is why, when we're in the women's leadership retreat in Israel, like we work in these places because the use of this approach and the sound wordlessly and the rhythm, leaders, they would regularly go to temples and avail themselves of special applications of wordless sound and rhythm that would bypass cognitive mind and connect them to higher mind, and then allow for clarity. First of all, for replenishment, to fill the well. And by resting, by taking that time out, it would provide clarity for decision making, and connection to source. And then they go and move on, make the decisions and live our lives. But in those days, temples, we don't have that in our modern society. A temple was a combination of a hospital, of a spa, of a university, of a yoga studio, and a hotel,
Right.
And
we don't have anything like that.
We don't have anything like that, which is also, that's the reason why I lead the retreats in Israel, to in service to the resurgence of that. And the sites in and of themselves, they were built for sound and by sound. Oh, I could show you that. You'll love this. Hold on a sec. Gotta find it though. Are you seeing me change this now? Can you see? Are you seeing
Yes.
me small? Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Let's see where. Oh wait, maybe. Hold on. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. There's one in here. Let's here. Like, where are they? No. There's one in particular. I thought it was here. They're like womb spaces. So, can you see that? Do you see that?
I'm looking. It's pretty small, but it looks like a,
Maybe. Here, can you see that?
yeah.
So when you sound your voice, you align with your connection to the all. It's beyond cognitive. So any words that I'm using right now are very limiting.
Yeah.
There are ways to align yourself and your, by keeping the focus on yourself, yet being really present, changes worlds. First of all, your own. And this has applications on so many different levels, Kristen, from first how you're aligning yourself. Like, let's take the example, there's the level of the leadership and there's the level of the sound where each, where each could use an allegory of where each instruments, is part of this entire, orchestra of humanity, let's say. And each one of us has a
part to play.
Yeah. It's not your part to, and how you align yourself determines what comes to you. So you mentioned priestess, because the priestesses, like prophetess Miriam, with her drums, let's see, where is she in here? Somewhere. Here. Oops, that's so teeny. Oh, well, yeah, it's teeny. Maybe this will be better. Can you see that? Do you see that?
I see. I think it went back to the first thing.
Oh, did it? Oh, you don't see a photo with women. Hold on. How about now? Do you see that? Group of women?
No, I see your screen.
Oh, hold on just a sec. See that?
Yes.
So I think that's an artist rendering of the crossing of the seas, and the women. And her. Do you have the book with you?
Yes. Got it.
Okay. So for your next step forward, what would, without thinking about it, in one word, where would you really like to go? If you were to graduate from the Joan of Arc School of Dungeon, be there for everybody else. And you know, if that were to transform from dark dungeon to womb space, and you're in the contraction phase of coming out, it's like good news, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Where would, you know, where would that birth be? What in one word would express it, the experience of it, that expansion? And go to the center of the earth, you know, like pretend your mouth is there. Let it come from that place without thinking about it.
I might have already started thinking.
No worries. Just notice that and go down to the center of the earth and open up.
Mm.
And then go to your source spot, open up there. And down again. What would feel so good to you?
Freedom.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, go to that freedom, the connection to it in the center of the earth, and then open up the book to any page. Just open the book.
Okay.
What did you get to?
Chapter 19. What was Miriam's role in history?
How funny.
Miriam's role was to lead humanity through an epic period of catalytic change. Which is exactly what I was feeling this morning as I was feeling all of the sorrow of the world.
Yeah, so go ahead and read it. Yeah.
Miriam could say what no one else could say. We as a civilization were moving from a feminine-based worldview of nomadic tribalism to a masculine-based worldview of settlement, from feeling to an analysis. Some scholars believe that as civilization made a shift from pictographic writing styles, such as hieroglyphics, to linear writing styles, such as the alphabet, it altered how our brains work. We lost contact with important ways of perceiving and sensing that had been very effective for us.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what do you get from that?
I get to keep going. But there is an ownership that's waiting for me to move into it. But I have to get through this thing, whatever it is, to get there. And I don't know whatever it is, other than just this current process.
Yeah, and you know, that in anili mili, if I'm not for myself, who am I?
Right.
Like you've been given a great gift that this man is letting go so that you can be there for you. Because without you being there for you, you can't help anybody else.
Yeah.
Your well needs to be filled first.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to show you another process now that this is the fundamental process. And like with the source spot, there are many, there are 20 different ways to start using it. the most important is to connect. Have you ever worked with sound and chakras?
Yes. It's been a long time, but
Mhm.
I have.
All right, so I want to show you a tonal ladder, connecting your source spot and the chakras. They're already there again. There's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
Yet Miriam's way, this forgotten the forgotten part is including yourself. That there's that feminine leadership. To me, the power of Miriam is that, they would have seen what was coming, the changes, and that the power and the leadership was, just because you don't see it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
Right.
And that she led from the side. She wasn't doing it well. She was so powerful. She even prophesied Moses's birth. Her father followed her. That she very cleverly owned her power by using her voice silently and changing the tides of history. And the most amazing part to me is nobody knows about her.
Nobody remembers.
She's the one who led the entire thing. Everybody thinks it's Moses. I'll be speaking to 2,500 people, 25 people, doesn't matter. I'll always ask, who knows? I think I did it at the conference. Like 90% of the people have heard of Moses.
Right.
Mostly 10% of the people will know of Miriam. If it's a religious, if they're religious Christians or religious Jews, maybe they'll be 30%. That's so astounding.
Somehow, yeah, just where we're at.
Yeah, and there's the story of she was sent to the leper colony when she dared speak up. It's like that collective memory of the shift that was happening, and here we are on the opposite end when we are being called to stand to speak back up, not against something, but owning our power.
Right.
When you're giving it away to somebody else, to an idea, to a property, and you're someone who has so listened to her voice. You have dared listen. You're very courageous already and very powerful already. And there's a really fine line in that place of, you got to take care of you or you'll go down with the ship.
Right.
And you've had the courage to reach out too. That's a sign of power. Not doing it on your own, because you look at, kings, queens, the leaders, they all have, mentors and entire teams around them, because we're not meant to be doing this alone. That's the dungeon.
Especially as women.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially as powerful women. But again, there's no precedence, yet that is the power of this ancient feminine lineage, is that it's, in the cracks where you don't see it. Yet we're living at a time and a place now where we are living in the crack. The old world is here, 1 foot in one world and 1 foot in the next, and we're in this space, in the middle, in the gap. And that's the place where, ancient ways are very important because they can provide us with our grounding and our sustenance and our replenishment when we're in the desert of change. It's a way to reclaim and to connect to your inner knowing, beyond the inner knowing that you're used to going to, the part in the crack that's beyond cognitive knowing. And then provide a bridge back from that place into the physical world. And that is what allows the shifts to occur.
Got it.
Got it? Okay, so this exercise, it's a use of, I call it the tonal ladder. And we go up the chakras, and there's one note to one breath. And yet it's not about sounding out. There's actually more power, even if you do it silently. It's more like when I asked you focus, in the space and bullseye, the bullseye. It's like, use your voice as the laser beam to focus inside the area. Okay?
Okay.
And what we'll do is go up the ladder and then spend a few moments in silence in between each one. And I'll guide it so you don't need to know what's coming next. And then after we finish with the last tone, then we'll go back down to the center of the earth, to allow for all of the work to be done on its own through the vibration. Okay? So are you sitting comfortably? I'd rather see you sitting comfortably.
Yeah. Put the phone down. Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and close your eyes, Kristen. Go to your tailbone, open up the sore spot. Go to the center of the earth and open up there. And imagine that your mouth is in the center of the earth. Now come back up to the source spot. At the first tone, the first chakra, the natural vibratory rate parallels with the sound, ugh. It's not about the sound. Imagine that your mouth is there. And one note to one breath. If there's any kind of stress, don't even vocalize it. Just sound it silently, because it will work. And let's do it maybe 2-3 times around. And you don't need, we each have a different amount of breath. We each have different tones of our voice. Totally doesn't matter. What you're going to experience is right for you. The next area is the pelvic region, and the natural tone here is ooh. The sound is a little bit higher than the. Again, just focus your attention inside the area and focus the sound inside the chakra. One note, one breath. Next area is your belly area. The natural tone is O. Sound is a little higher. And if you really want to focus it, you can place your hand on your belly, your tummy. Again, one note to one breath, and focus the tone inside your belly. Next area is the heart or the chest. The natural tone here is ah. Focus the tone inside your heart or between your lungs. If you want to place your hand on your heart, feel the vibration, focus it. Then do. If it's not comfortable, don't. There's no right or wrong here. And the sound is a little higher. The next area is the throat area. Here, focus your attention between the vocal cords. And relax your jaw, relax your tongue. You know, by no means strain. If you feel any strain, then just leave it and focus the sound silently. Our vocal cords work so hard for us every day. They deserve a break. One note to one breath, and the sound is I. The next area is the prow or third eye. The natural tone is A, and here use a little girl's voice or a falsetto or a head voice, so not to strain your voice. Again, if there's any strain, it's better just to do it silently. And sound is a bit higher. And the last area in the crown is E. Again, use a head voice or falsetto so as not to strain. And then after that, we'll take another few moments of silence to allow for all of the tones to align and bring your focus back down to the center of the earth. It will open you up. Again, one tone to one breath. E. Bring your focus down to the center of the earth and open up there. Head to the source spot and open up there. And again, back down to the center of the earth, open up there. When you're ready, open your eyes, yet keep your focus on the center of the earth, like continuing to open up. Just notice how your body is feeling. More open, more shut. There's no right or wrong.
It's ringing.
What did you experience during that?
Joy. Each chakra definitely had a different color.
Which one?
And each chakra definitely had a different color or. Yeah. I keep getting an image of like a crystal bowl. I don't know why.
Yeah, and those top ones, that's those resonances.
Yeah.
It was very interesting. I don't know whether you experienced this or not, but it started at the O. I'm getting goosebumps. Like something happened that it'll be interesting to see whether it recorded. That there was like this breakthrough. Did you hear that in the sound? And our voices came together. Couldn't hear which. It happened several times, but it started. Yeah. Oh, and I have never experienced that before on the internet, because the internet, though, like the waves, it hasn't yet gotten to the place where it can catch the overtones. But
and we're very
like there was this breakthrough, and it's like, holy moly, the internet is catching the vibration. I've never. Did you experience that?
I felt it definitely up top. It was almost like hearing a harmonic that I knew I wasn't doing.
Yes. Yeah. And it was sounding through the both of us.
Yeah. I
experienced that, when we're live together. I've never experienced that online. That is like, wow. That is so powerful.
Sounds like a swimming pool.
Like what?
A swimming pool.
Yeah.
Playing with sound.
Yeah. So they're very practical applications of it as well. I mean, so many. And in the, which is what I teach in the, in the programs. But for this breakthrough, I think how you can use this most effectively is when you go to speak or something is going on, check with yourself. Ask, what do I need? Like for your own well, to fill yourself up. What do I need? What needs support? Ask that, and you'll get your answer. And let's say, stomach, like personality, like showing up, as me, for me. I had something this morning. I have a client coming in tomorrow for a private immersion. So I was preparing this morning and my body was all tight, and I kind of, went for a walk, and then I usually go to Tai Chi, but for some reason, I just kept moving on. I didn't want to do what they were doing. Like, no, I'd be in my own dungeon. So I ended up going to this other park, and I asked, and I don't remember where it was now. I did a stretch that my body wanted to do where it was stuck, and then I asked what the sound was, but not what the sound was, what was the area. Oh, it was, I woke up with the stiff lower back. So I was kind of doing these stretches, but not doing the stretches part. I was barely moving and going to the part that was stuck and saying, what do you want? Well, it was the ooh area, but it didn't want ooh. It wanted ah. And as I was going down, I was making the sound, but it was like, bullshit sound. It's not getting to the place. It wasn't bullshit sound. It was fine, you know, but when I got down there, so I started awing silently in the uspe, you know, in the uspe. And all of a sudden I noticed I'm like moving easier. I'm like,
Wow.
whoa, whoa.
Interesting. My choir practices from my classical singing training, there's an ah in everything. So if they're up high and they're sounding really tight and squeaky, I say, what is it you guys need to do? And they all say, stick an ah in it.
Oh.
And, you know, the metaphor being ah, but also more space, ah.
Yeah.
Because if you just open your mouth and you don't think a vowel at all, it's going to be ah.
Yeah, and ah is aleph. It's the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet.
Uh-huh. Does
And
it have
aleph, alphabet is Hebrew. It's from Hebrew, aleph bet. But it's, you know, or alpha, but that's aleph. And aleph in aleph is like Genesis, you know, the beginning.
the beginning?
Lamed is the second letter. It means two. And again, aleph, the last one is pe, mouth. What is aleph? What's the beginning? You know, it's the Genesis, and it's going towards, you know, it's being created. It's going towards. What the word aleph actually means, like aluf, is like mastery. Aloof, it's like a really knowledgeable one. Not knowledgeable here, knowledgeable, wise.
Right, right. Not in need of anyone or anything else.
Well, it includes that also.
Yeah, I was just thinking of aloof.
Aloof. You know, I didn't think of that. Yeah, probably from that. Yeah.
Because, we don't think of that word that way.
Yeah, we don't think of that way, but you know, aloof. Yeah, you don't need any. Yeah.
You're complete.
Yeah. Self-sustaining.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like it.
Mm-hmm. So what are you taking from?
Sound. Reclaiming sound. I haven't done that in a really, really, really super long time. And I don't know that I ever, or at least I didn't remember the specific vowel to chakra sound. And that makes total sense.
Yeah, so. I'll send a little chart so you can have it too.
Okay. Yeah, I will play with that. One of the exercises I had to do in school so many years ago was it was me, me, ma, mo, moo as a singing exercise. Yeah. But I ended up, in order to learn how to make all the sounds the same size, if you will, or same quality. So that they all have the same focal point.
Yeah.
I did for hours and hours and hours. So it's really interesting because it's a continuum of vowels.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've been toying with and I don't know where the history of this comes from or whatever, but there's a chakra that I don't know. Some people have said it's just now opening up between the heart and the throat. It's like higher heart energy. So as we were going up, it was like it's in there somewhere between yeah, and
well,
I,
in the oh, we don't have time to go in. It's like a whole world but in the Eastern approach to music, like if we take the Western approach, with our scales, which is what we end up doing with these things. So you've got, the interval, the two keys and then the black in the middle, the
piano.
Midtone, the halftone. But if you take that same interval in the Eastern world, it's divided up between 9 and 13. So an ear in the Eastern world is much more sensitive than an ear in a Western culture.
Yeah.
And there's a and it connects. It's still connected to the ancient because traditionally they weren't written down. It was passed on through ear, through apprenticeship.
Sound, yeah.
Through initiation, not through mental knowledge, and that's what this is. And it's the it's a like in the place that of the picture, that was built for sound and by the sound. You like go through an initiation in there because the place itself is teaching you.
Right.
We don't have that. We do have this. I mean, it's there right now. It's in my hometown. It is there in modern time. It's we don't really know of that in cognitive, place. And that is actually how the walls of Jericho came tumbling down. That you can actually use this to build worlds and to manifest physical things. It's a whole nother way of approaching life. And it's easy and it's joyful and it's abundant and it's replenishing that feminine power.
Yes, I'm taking that.
You deserve that.
I think so. I really do.
Pardon?
I really do. Yeah, owning that.
Yeah, really, really owning it. I really, we're going in May, the retreat. I don't know whether if that's possible for you, but I can so see you there.
How often do you go?
Once a year.
Yeah. Maybe a miracle, I don't know, but I'm not sure that I can see that.
Yeah, I really see. I don't, not now. Even Shav, Matai. There's everything in its own time, and no pushing the river. But I can really, really see it. And as I said at the beginning, this breakthrough package, the intent of it is to, pop the cork so that you can open up to the next, and that this is part of the foundational programs. And this is like the foundational part of the foundational program, of which there are 3 phases. There's the connection phase, of which this is the foundational part of the connection phase, to connect to the source of your power, because without that, it's just,
Right.
really. And then the second phase is the courage phase, that, once you connect to that source and have the clarity, then developing the courage to trust what you're hearing and to act upon it. first is connecting, owning it. Second is then trusting it and acting upon it, which then brings you to the third phase of confidence, to then share that with the world. And through that process, so much clarity comes. And the feminine power map that you craft during the program, with what you come up with in your clarity, then a map that guides you, because you begin to know what's next for you and how to live there now, not then, because there's no place to get to.
Right.
Right? But living in such a way so that with the tough, when I said the tough, if you take tough, T-A-F, first trusting and then allowing, then that next phase is allowing, and then allowing it to flow. It will flow to you once you stop pushing the river. So know that is available to you, and that if you're ready, or when you're ready, and if that, I said that this will count towards that.
Okay.
And with where you're at right now, what I could really see as most helpful to you is like more like an intense private immersion, so that out of that you've got your plan, you've got your clarity where you're going to. I don't mean clarity here. That comes also, but it's not from this place.
Right.
The getting out of the being spent and really owning your worthiness to have now, not tomorrow, now.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yep. Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. What are you taking from this program, and what do you see next for you?
I feel like it's a commitment to myself. I mean, I've always been on the path and on the journey, and always pushing forward and always pushing inward. But in a way, what's required now is less push and more allow, and tapping into the resources that I already have, like the voice, which strikes me as, I wanted to say ironic and then goofy, and then like this thing that I've spent lots and lots of time teaching other people how to generate sound. Like, it's time for me to go back to the basics in a way, but on a different plateau, a different dimension.
Yeah.
Sound. So that work, Chief?
I really want to acknowledge you for allowing yourself to receive.
Yeah.
That's very powerful, and you really put your money where your mouth is for where you're at, and that will come back to you as you allow yourself to receive more. That will come back in spades. It's not about an amount of money.
No. No, and that's part of all of it. Like, uh, it's not a stuckness necessarily because so much of it is conscious choice, but um, if 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 I felt like just saying, okay, I don't want to do this job anymore, right? I'm still hooked into this plane and having an income. And I get, that I'm living on this plane and I got to have an income, but there's another part of me going, that could also be looser. Like different choices could be made that, in the honoring of myself, the next source of income would come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because it's already there.
Right.
And it's, it, like you said, it's those parts that you don't see that are running that you don't see. And we can't see them alone. We're not meant to see them alone. Like once you see them, yeah, and that whole relationship to money and physicality and, this dichotomy as if there's physical and spiritual. They're not separate.
No. Yeah. We spend so much of our lives living as if there is no spiritual.
Or in woo-woo land.
Right.
Oh, spiritual, isolating and shutting off from receiving.
Right. But I spent my whole life like integrating those two, and I have a job where they really do literally, they pay me to be myself.
Yes.
And so it's this sense of needing to go deeper, how do I say it, to allow more of myself, knowing that as I do that, I could end up severing that tie because it's too far out there for them. But that doesn't mean I shouldn't go.
Yeah, you're reminding me of Elaine, a client of mine from who she works in the union. She has a very powerful position, and she's 62, so she's, what am I going to do next? And, I've been there for everybody else, but I could get along in the world if I'm doing a regular job, but I can't survive. I can't survive if I'm being creative. She had taken a video course a few years ago, and that's what she really wants to do. So in the course of our working together, she continued with a few programs, and I remember into the second program at the beginning, she came because she didn't know, she really had this dream of having her own business. By the end of that first program, she said, well, I'm going to continue because I see this really gives me practical results. Not making sense to me, but it's totally giving me practical results. And so I'm going to continue. And then we were focusing on building her business and through creative means. And maybe a quarter into it, she goes, okay, now I'm ready. I'm leaving. I'm leaving. I'm ready to do it. I'm like, why are you going to do that? She was like, she's a few years away from her. What she didn't see up front, through continuing the work, then she could see, she was about to inadvertently sabotage herself and throw away everything that she so successfully from her own spirit was able to accomplish. Now she's working in a way where it's so much easier for her in the work because she's approaching it differently. And she's setting herself up, and she's actually using where she is now as using it as the foundation, as the trampoline, to jump off so that when she does leave, she's really
It's all
yeah,
that makes total sense.
yeah, yeah. Well, it has been a pleasure to work with you, and I am here. I would be just an honor to help you go to that next space.
Well, thank you very much. I feel like I have some tools. I've unearthed some tools that are definitely going to help me.
Well,
So thank you.
I would love to hear from you.
All right.
What's going on. It'll be
I
really
promise.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. So I have all your contacts, and I'll still get your just general email.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I'll start envisioning going on a big trip. Might not see this year, but I do love the sound.
Yeah. You can come to LA. Come to the Hollywood sign.
Ah, LA. I'm a Northern California girl. Give me those big trees any day.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the sequoias, they're gorgeous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, take care, Kristen. I'm so happy to see you like this. When you see the recording, you really see how like night and day. It's really
Getting
cool.
on in that. All right.
Yeah, yeah. Bye.
Well, bye-bye. Thank you. I just got a low battery warning, so.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right.